Stressful, it's stressful, lifting heavy, but of course I can do it. Deadlifts is what makes your back strong if it's done well. So I entirely and wholeheartedly disagree with the statement that deadlifts are bad for your back. Having a weak back is bad for your back. Today we're squatting and we're doing my heavy squat day, which is going to be pause squats. I have two numbers in mind. I'm only going to do one top set of 2 reps. I have 2 numbers in mind that are a progression from last week. One is 265 because I did 260 last week for a double. And then I look at it and I think, is 265 even a number? Or is 270? Do you know what I'm saying? So 270 equals 5 reds. Anyway, I will use my last warm-up set to determine what that's going to be. And then the next thing we need to consider is, this is week 4 of my program. So what I like to do on week 4 of my programs is deload. Very, very low volume back down work, if I do any back down work at all. And that is in aid of somewhat of a deload. So my deload strategy is to maintain intensity but reduce volume. So that's going to allow some type of a recovery because a lot of the times we are fatigued because of the accumulation of volume. And the reason why I want to give myself a bit of a deload is so that this Saturday, which is week 4 of my deadlift block, I can come in for a heavy deadlift. So the plan for deadlifts was to finish on 300s, but then I thought, you know, maybe if it's there, I might push for my goal, my short-term goal, which is 310 kilograms, and just do one set of 1 before I fly out to Perth for my next seminar. So that's what this week is. It's low volume, but still quite heavy. So today's weight, I'm doing pause squats, either 265 or 270. 265 was on the program because last week was 260. And this week, the logical progression was just 5 kilos up. But then I think 270 is a lot nicer. That's 5 reds, that's nice and clean. So my ego may get the better of me today. 5 reds for 2 looks better than 4 reds and a blue and a silver clip. First warm-up set, it's always the shoulders that need warming up. So you'll probably notice, for me, I have very stiff shoulders. I've spoken about this before, but if you're new here, my shoulders are very, very, very stiff. And that came from years and years of benching at a high level, especially 2 days ago. My last session was a heavy bench press. And my shoulders are still a little bit tight, so I like to spend time warming up. But you see how I hold the bar on my first set? Out here on the collars, but then I'll bring them in. And then that'll be my first set when I start adding weight. It'll be like around here. And then I like to kind of bring them in to my top set. The rule is to grab the barbell as close as your shoulder mobility allows. But I'll take a while to warm up. I'm gonna do a few sets on this, just to really, really warm up. So that's my goal with my low volume day, is spend more time on the warm-ups so that I feel really, really comfortable coming into that top set. Like a well-oiled machine. I shouldn't have put my belt on for this. I just keep my equipment on. That's restricting me from hitting my depth for this empty barbell. I should have. I don't know if you saw the depth, but. Couple more sets of that. 25 kilograms, so 12.5 each side, which is red. So that's the first weight will be, you know, this is empty barbell, and then I'll do a red on each side, so it's 70. And then I'll jump 25 kilograms at a time. 95, 120, 145, 170, 195, 220, 245, 270. I like how we just made our mind up and we're going for 270 now. Anyway. Stressful, it's stressful, lifting heavy, but of course I can do it. Okay, let's talk about equipment. Knee sleeves. My last squat session, I didn't use these. These are my very stiff sleeves. I don't know, a lot out of them, but my last squat session I tried to see if I could hit my program numbers with my soft knee sleeves, and I was able to. So how much do I actually get out of them? I don't know. Definitely something, but not much. You need to be strong for carryover from any equipment that you use. But either way, these are my stiff knee sleeves, which I use for my strong squat days. My belt, this wasn't on, so it was on my waist, but it wasn't tightened for that set. And this is a Pioneer belt, 10 millimeter lever belt. If you get the option to decide between a 10 mil or a 13 mil, my recommendation is 10 mil. The 10, people want 13 mil because they want to be stronger and they want the belt to be stiffer and max out on their equipment. I don't believe that a 13 mil is actually stronger than a 10 mil, but it is heavier and it is thicker and it's more uncomfortable. Why? 10 mil does the job and it's more comfortable and lighter and all the good stuff. Next up, wrist wraps. For a low bar squat, for a high bar squat, I don't think you need wrist wraps, but for a low bar squat, when the barbell's lower on your back, it can cause discomfort on your wrists and your elbows and your shoulders. And go and have a look at the best squatters in the world. Majority of them, I can't think of any that don't, at the highest level, wear wrist wraps. So if you're doing low bar squats and you're wondering why your wrists hurt, yeah, it's because it's strain on the wrist. There is weight being placed on your wrists, and use wrist wraps. So that's the equipment check for the day. Shoes. A lot of people comment on my shoes. These are flat-soled shoes. They're my boxing shoes. I just figured that they were very comfortable to box in and they were flat-soled. So I thought I'm going to give them a try for my squat day, and it just so happened that they were very comfortable for my squat session. So I've got two types of footwear for squats, flat-soled or elevated heels. And I use my elevated heels when I'm trying to do like a high bar squat or a front squat or a bodybuilding squat to build quads. But when I'm trying to lift the heaviest weight, flat-soled is my preference. Not for everyone. So some people might say, what if I wear heels for my low bar squats? That's great. I recommend if you can't achieve bottom position, if you lack the mobility to hit depth with flats, then use the heels. One more set. Empty bar. I put the belt on again, I shouldn't have. Okay, I'm going to teach you how I perform a low bar squat. And why should you listen to me? Great question. Well, I'll tell you who I learned from, Eric Lillibridge, who is the owner of a 482 kilogram squat at 140 kilograms body weight. So he was, when he taught me, he was #1 on the planet in the 140 weight class. And when the best guy in the world teaches you how to do it, you kind of listen, right? And I learned a lot from him and his dad, Ernie Sr., about how to train in general. So not just about the squat, but absolutely the squat technique. I'd say that that's definitely their specialty. And yeah, these are the techniques that they taught me. So the first thing that I say is hands as close as shoulder mobility allows. And you look at me and you say, well, why don't you hold it close? Because this is what my shoulder mobility allows. I have very tight, immobile shoulders. And you'll find that's the same with a lot of super strong guys. They use these types of racks where you can hold the barbell on the outside of the rack. So most people in commercial gyms don't get access to that. So the racks are wider and you only have access to holding the bar a little bit closer. But for me, I like to use this squat rack. So a lot of people get upset with me because they think this is a flimsy squat rack. This is my favorite because it allows me to position the handles. So when I hold the bar, I'm kind of here and my wrists hit against it. So this is what you see in powerlifting competition. So this is the combo rack. So here, so that's racks in. And if I was to use this rack, these uprights come in on an angle. They come in on an angle, and that kind of, this is a bit too wide. I can have that a little bit closer. So when I grab the barbell on this, it bumps into my arms, my forearms, and I don't get the right position. So that's why I don't like it. So this is the comp setup. This is not bolted into the ground, and I don't believe you need it bolted into the ground. When you rack the weight, the way that I like to teach it is to kind of walk it in. See how that lifts? That's safe. Once it drops, it's in. So I think that's even safer than a rack that's bolted into the floor, because when it's bolted into the floor, imagine this is the rack here. So this pole here, you know, if I was walking a barbell with a heavy weight into a rack that's bolted into the floor, you can bounce off it because the rack doesn't move, you move. So that's why I think this is actually a safety feature, the flexibility of this machine. So when you're re-racking a weight, I don't teach that you should place it back on the hooks. That's where people stuff up. I say, walk it straight through to the uprights, boom, and then slide it down. That's the safest way of doing it. Anyway, so this is my squat rack that I use. It is Eleco, so it's very good quality, but at the same time, it's good enough quality for what I'm doing. These can hold a lot of weight, and that's my squat position. So here's the technique. Grab the bar as close as your shoulder mobility allows. For most people, it's not out here. For me, it is, because I can't go closer than that. My shoulders are super tight. For some people, they hold it here. That's as close as their shoulder mobility allows. It would be lovely if I could as well, but I just cannot. So anyway, so this is me. Closest shoulder mobility allows, and then from here I place the barbell. So this is a low bar squat. I place the barbell on my rear delts. So high bar squat is upper traps, and that's rear delts. So check that out. That's my low bar squat position, which is on my rear delts. Big breath. The next thing I do, you can't really see much because there's very little movement in my shoulders. The cue that I like to give is elbows back and down. It's not elbows back here, and it's not elbows down here. A lot of people are different. Some people do pure elbows back. Some people do pure elbows down. I like elbows back and down. The elbows back cue is mid-back strength. The elbows down cue is how you get the lats on, and that's entire back strength. So that's my strongest way of positioning my upper back for a strong low bar squat. Hands close. Place it on wherever it is, high bar and low bar, it's the same cues, hands close and elbows back and down. And that's upper back tension. I'm gonna do another set of this. Pre-workout, long black and honey. Do you like it? Are you on it yet? Okay, so now that we've got the upper back positioning done, let's talk about the next cues, which is walking this out. Okay, look at my feet. I don't just, stagger my stance and just rack it. However, I'm set and braced, strong. Feet close together, big breath. Shit, this rack height's too low. I was wondering, why am I crouching down too far? Let's reset that. So what you want with the rack height is, you'd rather it to be a little bit too low than too high, right? You don't want to be tippy-toeing that weight down. So this is where I want your help, Musti. Thank you, brother. I mean, this is what I'm fearing right now. I think this is, if anything, I'd say it's probably a little bit too high, because it's perfect with a light weight. But then as you get heavier and heavier, like especially when I get to like 270 kilograms today, when I get to my top weight, it's gonna squash my spine down. Let's see. Let's see. Now this is the right height. Okay, so 3 steps back. Okay, I'll explain why in a moment. Okay, looking straight ahead, the body follows the eyes. Some people look down, it's not a deal breaker if that's you. But my preference when you're lifting heavy weight, look straight ahead. This is about balance, not about maintaining a neutral spine or anything like that. Balance, look straight ahead, the body follows the eyes. Big breath to brace. So why 3 steps? It doesn't matter as much when the racks are close together like this. But the reason why you do 3 steps, so obviously the fewer amount of steps you take, the better. But so why not 2 steps? Well, the first step is about clearing the rack. So if you were to go from here to 2 steps, you'd have to go side, side, right? The problem with side, side is bang, you're gonna hit the plate on that rack. Here I won't, because the racks are close together. So I could really take 2 steps, but it's just my routine that I've had from forever. Right, so the first step is to clear the rack, and that's, so with feet close, you go straight back. If your feet are wide, when you unrack, when you lift one leg, all of the balance goes to the other. And if your feet are too wide, you have to shift over so that that's in the center of your base, that's the center of your base of support, right? And when I do that shift, that's gonna hit the bar. So when my feet are close, when I lift one foot up, there's not a huge shift. So the idea, up, first step is back. Now we've cleared the rack, then we go side, side. Right? practice that from the empty bar. A lot of people, when they get to their top weight, they get very shaky, myself included. It's hard because you don't get a huge amount of practice at your 1 rep max loads, right? But if you practice it from the empty barbell all the way up, you're a lot more familiar with the positioning. So ideally, this is what I want to do on my top weight, is the same thing that I'm doing here. And I'm going to show you again. 1 step back, side, side, without having to look at my feet. Okay, so let's practice it again. Feet close. So under my hips, big breath to brace. 1 step back, side, side, in.
Some people don't do squats and deadlifts because they're scared of hurting themselves.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Deadlifts are bad. You know, squats are bad. Yeah, I disagree. And I think there's ways of doing it where it's not only that it won't hurt you, that's the actual medicine that you need to rehabilitate you. A squat pattern and a bend pattern are very commonly used movement patterns in day-to-day life. So having weak bend pattern, weak squat pattern is not setting you up well for daily tasks. Of course, daily tasks don't involve 270 kilogram squats, so context matters. You know, I'm squatting not just so I can survive daily tasks. I'm squatting for performance, right? But, you know, the people that squat for performance aren't the ones that kind of complain about whether they're good or bad for injuries. It's usually the people like physiotherapists or people that don't train. They say, I don't want to do this movement, right? So addressing that, not everyone needs to squat double body weight, or I'm going to be doing a lot more than double body weight. But to have strength in your squat pattern, basic strength in your squat pattern is pretty functional. And what's even more functional is strength in your bend pattern. So that's an even more used movement pattern from day-to-day tasks. Like the amount of times you need to bend over and pick things up every day, you'll be surprised. It's a lot. And if you have a weak back, like that's the problem. Weak back is the source of injury, not deadlifts. Deadlifts is what makes your back strong if it's done well. So I entirely and wholeheartedly disagree with the statement that deadlifts are bad for your back. Having a weak back is bad for your back. Okay, next one, 95. We're going to do 1 rep all the way up. And while I'm only warming up, I'll give you some technique pointers. Hands close, barbell on, rear delts, elbows back and down, feet under the bar, big breath to brace, and then 3 steps. 1 straight back, side, side, standing in your comfortable stance, looking straight ahead. Take a big breath to brace. So my chest doesn't lift up here, it's guts, right? And I push into the belt, 360 degrees, ribs down. When I squat, so I look at my stance, I'm quite wide and I've developed strength with that width. A lot of people say, oh, wide squat is better because my favorite lifter uses a wide stance in competition. Quite often, your favorite lifter has been doing it for a long time and they've developed strength surrounding that structure. So wide stance is just the same as a wide grip bench press. It's problematic if it's weak. So the best way to build, tolerance to wide grip or wide stance is to start a little bit narrower. So my recommendation for a start point for figuring out your squat stance, everyone is different with squat stance. I like to say feet just outside of hip width, toes pointed very slightly outwards. And it's not just about there's your stance, go down and up. It's about what you do with your legs when you go down. So what I like to do is think about feet into the ground and grab onto the floor with my feet and screw externally. Okay, so people say spread the floor. That's another cue that I like to use. Spread the floor. What I like to do is open my hips. So the knees don't come in, I open my hips. The open hip position, when the knees come in and the legs go straight, the butt goes back too far and it's inefficient. When we open our hips, it allows us to keep our hips closer to the line of force, which is the bar path, and have a more upright torso angle. I'm not saying you need to be upright. There needs to be some type of forward torso lean to get our strong hips involved. It's not completely upright. That's our stiletto squats. That's our quad builder. This isn't about building quads. This is about using my body as a unit to shift the heaviest load. So there is some forward torso lean, but you don't want to excessively, like when the feet are close and the knees come in like this, your hips have to come back to get depth. So this is why it's more efficient to have an open hip stance. Okay, so that's what I like to do with my feet. grab the floor, screw my feet into the floor, open hips. And I don't think of, some people give the cue, sit back like you're sitting back onto a chair. I don't. I think if you focus on sitting back, the first thing that happens when you sit back is your torso tips forward. When you have triple body weight on your back, you don't want your torso to tip forward. You want to balance, so it's not about being upright, it's about balancing so that the center of the bar, the center of mass, which is the bar path, the collar of the bar, needs to align with your midfoot. So when I get to the bottom, if I'm tipping forward, whoop, like I don't want that barbell coming forward. I need to keep it aligned with the center of my base of support. That's the strongest, most efficient position. So those are the things that I like to think about. Stance, screw the feet into the floor, look straight ahead, brace, and then guide that weight down so that the bar path is in line with my midfoot, and then stand with intent. And that's how you squat. All right, next up, I'm just gonna keep on adding weight. And now I like to kind of switch on a little bit. I'm gonna talk a little bit less. Hope you don't mind, and that's why I gave you a lot of instruction for these warm-up weights, but now it's time to switch on. I'll see you at my top set, 120. That was my first set. So every set I've had my hand flat on the bar, on the plate. That was my first set where I put my hand on the barbell. So this is me, this is how I stretch and warm my shoulders up for each consecutive set. And that was freaking tight. And something that happens to me at the end of my squats is my hand feels like I've just punched a brick wall. And that's because I'm like, it's so tight up against there, those three fingers like that, and it's twisting into my knuckles. So the first time I did it, I didn't really feel anything until the next day. And now, because I've been squatting heavy every week, it's now sore. So that's the first set. I've got to bring it in closer so I'm not wedging it against the edge. So my knuckles hurt. Ah! What a weird thing that from squatting my knuckles hurt, my shoulders hurt, my elbows hurt. This is all a result of having tight shoulders. Damn. Anyway, you know, I wish I could say that I know much about how my legs feel right now. I don't, because all my attention is going to my shoulder tightness and my upper body. It's easy enough for my legs. I wish that I could just focus purely on the squat, but that's why, you know, I take my time to warm up, to get everything well oiled so that by the time I'm up to my top set, I don't have to think, I just go. Next set, 170. Pretty good movement. So I'll tell you what I'm doing. It's like, it's not good. So my first thing that you see me do is tip forward. So that's me avoiding using my knees because my hips are stronger, right? So I tip forward to get off my knees, and then at the bottom, so I go back and then knees forward. So I'm that's a leakage of energy. I just want it to be straight down and straight up, right? So I'm going hips back, and then I bring my hips forward because I know that's the bottom position that I want to be in. But I want to get from A to B in one straight line rather than, that's what I'm doing currently. The reason I'm doing that is because my left knee, I tore my meniscus about a year ago, and it was very problematic for a while. So the recovery was slow, and a part of the recovery is psychological. So now, even now, there's no pain in the meniscus, but I want to avoid it. It's like I've got this fear of using that area. And that's part of the mental recovery. So that's causing a bad pattern. I'm avoiding that pain by moving away from it, right? But what I need to do is lean into it. Not purposely because I want to use more knees. I want to use more knees than what I'm doing currently. It's not about using more knees than hips. It's about using a combination of as much knees and as much hips and evenly distributing the load across your entire body. So if it's too much knees and not enough hips, then it's weaker. Like I'm telling you what not to do, which is don't start by leaning the hips back. And that's exactly what I'm doing. And I believe that that's weaker because it's throwing my hips back is increasing. So let's just say, look at this tripod. Let's just say that's the bar path that it should be. I'll make it even here. You know, the more upright I am, so look at my elbow, that's my hips. The more upright I am, this is the moment arm, which is the distance between the line of force and the main acting joint. But if I tip forward further, look at the moment arm now, extra large moment arm. To make that more efficient, I want to, if I open my hips, it allows me to bring all my hips closer to the bar. And I push my knees outwards, right, and stay upright. There's a more efficient lever because the moment arm is shorter, right? Currently, when I push my hips back, and any one of you who pushes your hips back, you're not a bad person, you know, I'm doing it, but I'm trying not to. Keep the moment arms as short as possible. That's how we maintain efficiency. That's why you see a lot of good powerlifters with a wide stance. This is what they're doing. So that's the line of force. I've got a very short moment arm at my knee joint, very short moment arm at my hip joint. It's also the same rules with a sumo deadlift. Why sumo deadlifters are typically able to shift heavier loads than conventional deadlifters, because it's a more efficient movement. I know it's going to spark up a bit of debate. I'm going to give you my opinion. Sumo deadlift is more technical and it's a harder skill to learn, but it's more efficient. So when people say, why are people able to do more than conventional? Because they haven't learned the skill of sumo, but if they did, it's a more efficient lever. I haven't learned the skill of sumo. I want to. I spent more time on my conventional. But anyway, that's why it's a more efficient lever, because the hips are closer to the barbell. There's shorter moment arms. It's a more efficient lever. So I'm going to apply that principle here, right? And this is also why I like to come down slow, not just drop. I want to focus on the bar path that I want to be in. I want to control that bar path and be efficient. Precision beats power. I learned that from Conor McGregor when he knocked out Jose Aldo. Precision beats power. Timing beats speed. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Next up, 220. So it goes 220, then 245, then 270. So I've got 3 sets left. I'm going to go 1 notch tighter with my belt, right? So that was all on the looser setting. 1 notch tighter, and then the next one, a notch tighter again. Okay, let's go. You know, it felt shaky, but actually felt quite strong. Yeah, I was off center. Yeah, I felt that straight from the Unrack. And this is, if you go back to my video where I squatted 300, you'll see I had Alex spotting me and he aligned me. And I said, thank you for doing that. Every week I come in and I'm off center. Anyway, I've just gotten used to doing that. I'm slightly off center. So typically that's what I like to get a back spotter to do, is just align me. Huh? Nah, it's gonna throw me off. Yeah, just, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. It's been 4 minutes rest, so 2 more minutes. Okay. Okay. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Good effort. Good effort, she reckons. Thank you. What a compliment from the French woman. All right. It didn't record, just coat. Who cares if it didn't? I got 3. How funny. You know what I mean? Who am I trying to prank here?
It's my joke, bro.
Who am I trying to prank here? He's got 270. Did he get depth? Yes. Did he pause? Yeah. Better than last week's 260. Did he get depth 7 rep? Yeah, he did. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. The pauses are a little bit fast. But I do come to a complete stop. That's the point. That's the point. Now, I'll tell you now, last week, you weren't here, Musti, I was here by myself, and I did 260 for a double, and I would say it was as hard as that. It wasn't easier because it was 10 kilograms less. So last week I was weaker. This week, maybe because Musti was here, and same with Shazza, a little bit of extra help, moral support, but 270, paused, 2 reps. I will do, I feel like that session is a little bit incomplete. Normally, last week I did 2 sets of 8 stiletto squats on 170 kilograms. This week, plus hamstring curls. This week I want to reduce volume a little bit. And the reason why I want to do that is my reduction in volume is so that I can have some energy for a heavy deadlift on Saturday. Yeah, the plan is for Saturday I'm going to attempt a 310. 310, is that a good number? I mean, objectively, it's pretty good. It's more than 3 times body weight, 100 kilos, so 300 is triple. So I'm due for 2 sets of 1 at 300, but I want it to be comfortable. But I don't want to do 2 sets of 1. I want to do 310. For just 1 set of 1. And if I come in and I get 1 set of 1 on 310, that's kind of like, the most I've deadlifted for many years. Deadlift is my weakest lift. So 310 is not bad, but comparative to where my squat is at, I squatted 300 kilograms a couple of weeks ago. So arguably my squat and deadlift are on par. My bench press, I'll be going for a 210, which is more than double body weight bench press, which is really, really good. So my strongest lifts are definitely my squat and my bench press, and my deadlift lets me down at that level. So typically, last time I was in competition, my squat is the strongest, my bench press was the strongest, my deadlift let me down a lot. And in competition, I did 330 kilograms at the 110 class, 375 squat, but that's with knee wraps. So this is another thing that people ask a lot is, oh, how did your squat so much more than your deadlift? Well, this is sleeves now. So sleeves, I'd say they're pretty close. Wrapped, I get 50 kilograms out of my wraps. So you can't compare wrapped squat with a deadlift because the wraps, they're equipment. But anyway, yeah, that's my plan now. I'm gonna take these off. So these are the heavy duty sleeves. I'm gonna take those off and I'll put the light sleeves on, and I'm gonna do just a little bit of accessory work, just so these skinny legs get some stimulation. It's my, my thing. I don't really skip leg day ever. I build muscle very easily on my upper body, not so easily on my legs. I got a very strong squat, but my leg development doesn't match, but that's okay. That's okay. It's not a beauty pageant. It's a competition to see who can lift the most. Ah. I'm giving you guys more trade secrets. So this is what we're doing now. This is what we've decided. I'm going to make an Instagram video out of this. I'm a content creator on Instagram. If you didn't know, now you do, and you should follow me, Australian Strength Coach. And I'll tell you what we're doing. I've got my videographer, who's standing behind the camera on the other end, is going to clip for me special effects where I go. So I just warmed up. We won't show it on this because we didn't record it on that camera, but I'm going to go walking out. 1 plate, boom, and then we add a plate, 2 plate, boom, 3 plate, boom, 4, 5, 6, not 6, 5 plates to the top set. So that's going to be my special effects. That's for the Instagram, and you guys get to see how I do it. So you saw that this is what I'm doing now, and that's what I had to do. I had to redo the video, so that's what you're going to see. Unfortunately, I've got my SBD sleeves on, which are different to what I use in my top set, and I'm not going to be able to put those ones on again because I'm sweaty and sticky, and these ones are very uncomfortable and tight and just too hard to put it on and off. So anyway, whatever. So those are the finer details that you may or may not notice in my Instagram video, but I've just done so the reason why we did that, look at this. This one's fixed, so that's on the tripod, and that's there from start to finish, except it wasn't quite start to finish. Musti said he only got it from 3 plates onwards. So therefore, I have to re-record the first plate and the second plate, which is easy. So I've already done 1 plate. Now, I'm going to do 2 plates. Got to make it look the same. You know, got to make it look realistic. Like this is my second set of the day. This doesn't matter because this isn't going to be included. So you see the walkout on the first video only. I cooled down and I'm tight now in my shoulders. Oh, man. All right, you ready? Game face on. Let's be serious, guys. You ready? This isn't included, so it's just the down and up. And that's my session, guys. So this is the next thing that I did. I made the decision while I was doing all of that I'm not doing any more squats after this. That's my deload, 1 top set of squats. I'm gonna do some hamstring curls, and that's the end of my session. What a lovely day. This is a fun way to deload. So it's a great deload strategy. You guys should try it. It's where you go, you know, if you do a 4-week program like me, the 4th week is the heaviest week, and you halve the volume. So how does that look for you? Many forms. You could literally half the amount of sets that you have to do in the whole program, or something I like to do is just do your top set and then get out of there. And that's what I'm going to be doing today. And the reason I'm doing that is to save energy so that I can have another heavy deadlift session. Today's Wednesday, that's going to be Saturday. So 2 days of, well, I'll bench on Friday, but you know, 2 days of light work. And then let's try and do 310 kilograms on Saturday. Are you guys going to join me? I hope you do. Well, it's not posted in real time. We'll probably post that video next week sometime. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's session. All the trade secrets given to you. Hey guys, I'm not asking you for anything in return, right? Just follow the stuff that I do. This is the stuff that took me 20 years to learn. There are many techniques, many different body shapes and sizes, and how these techniques present from lifter to lifter, there are differences, right? There's no such thing as a one-size-fits-all approach. But these are the techniques that I've learned from the best. I've used them very successfully. I've squatted 400 kilograms with this. So I'm a pretty good squatter. And I'm giving you the exact techniques that I use very successfully, and if you want to use the same things, I promise you, you'll do well. It took me so many years to learn how to do this, and it's yours for free. You're welcome. Anyhow, well, at least maybe give me a subscribe. Is it a follow? Subscribe? Do that. Anyway, guys, until next time. See ya.